3 months after the liberation of New Busan, the galaxy was a very different place. The news of humanity's overwhelming response to the Valeth attack had spread to every known civilization. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become a statement that echoed across the stars. President Yoon Shin stood before the United Human Assembly on Earth, addressing representatives from every human world. Behind her, a massive display showed the current state of human military forces. "The attack on New Busan was meant to test our resolve," she said. "The aliens thought we were weak and divided. They learned otherwise. But our response cannot end with one rescue mission." The assembly hall was silent as she continued. "We will ensure this never happens again. We will protect every human, on every world, no matter how remote. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us." Admiral Sang Woo-jung presented the new defense doctrine to the military leadership. The plan was ambitious and expensive, but necessary. "We will establish forward bases throughout human space," he explained. "Rapid response fleets that can reach any colony within days, not weeks. And we will continue our advance into Valeth territory until they understand the consequences of their actions." Intelligence officer Min Seok-bae had spent weeks interrogating captured Valeth prisoners. What he learned painted a picture of an empire that had grown arrogant from centuries of easy conquests. "They've attacked dozens of species over the past few hundred years," he reported. "Always smaller civilizations, always ones they thought couldn't fight back effectively. We're the first to not only resist, but to strike back." Captain Ki-hyun-ro led the follow-up mission into Valeth space. His fleet was smaller than the rescue armada, but still formidable. 50 ships carrying a clear message: humanity would not be the victim. The first Valeth system they reached was a military outpost. The base surrendered without firing a shot. Word of New Busan had reached them first. "This is Captain Ro of the Human Defense Fleet," Ki-hyun broadcast to the alien base. "You will disable your weapons and prepare to be inspected. Any hostile action will be met with immediate destruction." The Valeth commander complied immediately. He had seen the reports from New Busan. He knew what happened to those who fought the humans. Strategist Da-yoon Lee coordinated the broader campaign from Earth. Her job was to ensure that every Valeth military installation understood humanity's new position in the galaxy. "We're not seeking conquest," she explained to her staff. "We're seeking security. Every Valeth base that surrenders peacefully will be treated fairly. Every one that resists will be destroyed." It was a calculated approach. Show mercy to those who yielded, overwhelming force to those who didn't. Within 6 months, most of the Valeth military had surrendered or retreated to their core worlds. On New Busan, the rebuilding continued. The colony had become a symbol of human resilience. Minho Park oversaw the reconstruction, but now the colony had permanent military protection. "Are you sure you want to stay?" asked Commander Woojin Park, the officer in charge of the new defense base. "After everything that happened here." "This is our home," Minho replied, the same words Nari Kim had spoken months earlier. "We won't be driven away by fear." Dr. So-young Choi had expanded the medical center to treat both human and alien patients. Several Valeth prisoners had remained on New Busan rather than return to their empire. "Why did you stay?" she asked one of them, a young Valeth engineer named Zephys. "My government lied to us about humans," Zephys replied in careful human language. "They said you were weak and cruel. You are neither. I want to learn from you." Jin Woo-han had returned to teaching, but his lessons now included the story of New Busan's liberation. His students, both human and the few young Valeth who had stayed, listened with fascination. "Why did so many humans come to help us?" asked one of his students. "Because that's what humans do," Jin Woo explained. "We take care of each other. We don't abandon our people." Nari Kim worked with both human and Valeth engineers to rebuild the mining operation. The technology exchange had benefits for both species. "Your machines are more efficient than ours," Zephys admitted to her, "but our power systems last longer. Together we could build something better than either of us could alone." Hyejin Kang maintained the upgraded communication systems that now connected New Busan directly to Earth. Her simple SOS message had changed the course of galactic history. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if the message hadn't gotten through?" Minho asked her. "Every day," Hyejin replied, "but it did get through. That's what matters. The Velith Empire, faced with humanity's relentless advance and obvious military superiority, formally requested peace negotiations. The treaty talks were held on a neutral world, with representatives from several other alien civilizations observing. "We acknowledge our error in attacking New Busan," the Velith ambassador said. "We request terms for ending hostilities between our peoples." President Yoon Mi-shin led the human delegation. She was not interested in revenge, but she was determined to secure humanity's future. "The terms are simple," she said. "Full reparations to the New Busan colonists, recognition of human territorial sovereignty, and a guarantee that no Velith force will ever again attack human civilians." The Velith agreed immediately. They had learned the price of refusing human demands. General Jaewon Park disbanded most of his massive marine force, but kept the core units active. The volunteers who had rushed to defend New Busan had proven that humanity could mobilize incredible force when threatened. Young Ji-oh chose to remain in the military after the crisis ended. Her experience fighting for strangers had shown her a new purpose in life. "Why stay?" her old supervisor asked when she visited her former company. "Because there might be other colonies that need help," Young-ji replied. "Other people who need someone to stand up for them." Dr. Seung-ho Nam's weapons research facility became a center for defensive technology development. His anti-alien weapons were no longer needed, but the research had applications for other threats. "We proved that human ingenuity can overcome any technological advantage," he told his research team. "That knowledge will serve us well in the future." Engineer Jisoo Lim received a promotion to Chief of Naval Engineering. Her work converting civilian ships into warships had been crucial to the rescue mission's success. "Every shipbuilder in human space wants to hire me now," she told her friends. "But I think I'll stay in the military. We need people who know how to win wars." Hanul Kim returned to his fusion reactor work, but with a new perspective. He had seen what humans could accomplish when they worked together for a common cause. "The energy of human determination," he told his students, "is the most powerful force in the universe." The liberation of New Busan became a turning point in galactic politics. Other species, seeing humanity's response to the Velith attack, reassessed their opinions of the newcomers. The Corinthian Republic, a peaceful trading federation, was the first to offer formal alliance with humanity. "We need friends who will defend the innocent," their ambassador explained. The Thaxian colonies, survivors of an earlier Velith conquest, requested human protection. "You did what we could not," their representative said. "You fought back and won." Even species that had never contacted humanity sent messages of respect and caution. The galaxy had learned that humans were not the weak, divided species they appeared to be. 1 year after the attack, New Busan hosted a memorial service for those who had died in the alien assault. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended, both human and alien. Tai Hyun-yoon provided fresh food grown in his rebuilt farms. The tomatoes were especially good that year. Admiral Sang Woo-jung delivered the main address. "New Busan represents the best of humanity," he said. "Courage in the face of danger, determination to rebuild after destruction, and the willingness to forgive former enemies." As the ceremony ended, Minhyo Park stood with his fellow colonists looking up at the stars. The galaxy seemed smaller now, less lonely. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest, but through the simple act of protecting their own. The SOS that Hyejin Kang had sent into the darkness had returned as something far greater. It had brought not just rescue, but the dawn of a new age where humanity stood as protector of the innocent and defender of the weak. The message had been sent and received throughout the galaxy. Humanity protects its own. And the price of learning that lesson the hard way was higher than any civilization wanted to pay. The sleeping giant was awake, and it was watching. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, like an angry storm. Captain Ki-hyun Ro stood on the bridge of Seoul's Wrath, watching as 200 warships materialized around his flagship. "Contact," his sensor officer called out. "Multiple alien vessels in orbit around New Busan. They're moving to intercept." Ki-hyun smiled grimly. "Let them come. All ships, battle stations. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten our people." The Velith commander Thexmalar watched in shock as the human fleet appeared on his sensors. His intelligence reports had described humans as a weak, divided species with primitive technology. The massive armada bearing down on his position suggested otherwise. "How many ships?" he demanded. "Over 700 contacts," his sensor operator replied, fear creeping into his voice. "Unknown weapon configurations. They're not matching any of our intelligence profiles." Thex Malar had brought 15 ships to conquer New Busan. It had seemed like overwhelming force for a simple mining colony. Now he faced a fleet 50 times larger. The battle began immediately. Valith energy weapons, which had easily destroyed New Busan's defenses, struck the leading human ships. But instead of the expected destruction, the human vessels absorbed the hits and kept coming. "Their shields are different," the Valith weapons officer reported. "Layered and adaptive. Our energy weapons are losing effectiveness with each hit." Dr. Sungho Nam's adaptive shielding was working perfectly. Each energy strike taught the shields how to better deflect the next one. What should have been killing blows became minor inconveniences. Ki-Hyun ordered the counterattack. "All ships open fire. Let's see how they handle our kinetic weapons." The human response was devastating. Railguns launched projectiles at incredible speeds. Missile swarms overwhelmed Valith point defense systems. The elegant alien ships designed to fight enemies with energy weapons proved vulnerable to humanity's preference for kinetic force. Lieutenant Jisoo Lim watched from Seoul's Wrath's engineering deck as her converted cargo haulers deployed their drone swarms. Thousands of small expendable drones swarmed the alien ships like angry insects. "Direct hit on the lead alien vessel," the tactical officer reported. "Their shields are down, hull breaches on multiple decks." The first Valith ship exploded in a brilliant flash, then another. The aliens had never faced an enemy that could adapt so quickly to their technology. On New Busan, the colonists felt the colony shake as the battle raged in space above them. Minho Park pressed his face to a window watching the lights of distant explosions. "Something's happening," he told the other prisoners. "A big space battle." Hijin Kang felt a spark of hope. "My message. Someone heard my message." The Valith guards were getting nervous. They kept checking their communication devices and looking toward the ceiling as if they could see through the rock to the battle above. General Jaewon Park's assault transports punched through the weakening alien defenses. His 50,000 Marines were about to get their first taste of real combat. "Remember your training," he told his troops over the communication system. "These aliens attacked innocent civilians. Show them the price of threatening humanity." The troop transports landed hard on New Busan's surface. Marines poured out, weapons ready. Young Ji-Oh was among the first wave, her heart pounding with excitement and terror. The alien ground forces were caught completely off guard. They had expected to face a few lightly armed colonists, not professional soldiers equipped with the latest human military technology. Young Ji's squad moved through the colony corridors, clearing alien positions with ruthless efficiency. The Valith soldiers fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. "Contact left," Young Ji shouted, spotting alien soldiers at the end of a corridor. Her kinetic rifle spoke 3 times and 3 aliens fell. Hanul Kim, the reactor specialist turned combat engineer, followed behind the assault teams with demolition charges. His job was to destroy alien equipment and prevent them from sabotaging the colony. "Alien command post, 50 meters, he radioed to his team leader. "I can plant charges on their power generators." "Do it," came the reply. "Cut their power and they lose coordination." The explosions that followed plunged entire sections of the colony into darkness. Without their technological advantages, the Valith soldiers became easy targets for human forces equipped with night vision and thermal sensors. In the colony's medical center, Dr. Soyoung Choi heard the sounds of battle getting closer. She had been treating injured aliens alongside wounded colonists, following her medical oath to help anyone who needed care. When human Marines burst through the door, she almost cried with relief. "We have wounded here," she called out. "Both human and alien," the Marine squad leader nodded. "Doc, you're safe now. We'll get everyone to safety." Do-Hyun Lee had spent weeks planning a prisoner uprising. When he heard human weapons firing in the corridors, he knew the time had come. "Now!" he shouted to the other colonists. "Help is here." The prisoners overwhelmed their guards in a coordinated rush. Weeks of planning and preparation paid off as they seized weapons and communication equipment. Jin Woo-han fought alongside the other colonists, no longer the quiet schoolteacher but a man defending his students and his home. He grabbed an alien weapon from a fallen guard and joined the fight. "This way to the children," he called to the arriving Marines. "The aliens separated the families!" The reunion that followed brought tears to the eyes of hardened soldiers. Children ran to their parents. Families embraced after weeks of separation and fear. General Jaewon Park coordinated the assault from his command post. The aliens were fighting a defensive battle now, falling back to their ships and trying to organize an evacuation. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "the alien commander is requesting terms of surrender." "Tell him to surrender unconditionally," Jaewon replied. "He attacked civilians. He gets no special treatment." In space, the battle was already over. The Valeth fleet had been completely destroyed except for Thexmalar's flagship, which was badly damaged and surrounded by human ships. Captain Ki-hyun Ro received the alien surrender request. He looked around his bridge at his crew. These people had traveled across half the galaxy to rescue strangers. They deserved to see justice done. "Alien Commander," Ki-hyun said into his communicator, "you are ordered to surrender your ship and prepare to be boarded. You will be held accountable for your crimes against humanity." Thexmalar had no choice. His ships were destroyed, his ground forces defeated. The humans had proven far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. On New Busan, the last alien resistance ended when Thexmalar ordered his remaining troops to lay down their weapons. The colonists were free. Minho Park stood in the main assembly hall, now filled with human Marines instead of alien guards. Admiral Sang-woo Jung had come down from his flagship to personally oversee the liberation. "How many did we lose?" Minho asked quietly. "Too many," Sang-woo replied, "but far fewer than if we hadn't come. Your message saved lives." Nari Kim worked with human engineers to restore the colony's systems. The aliens had damaged much of the infrastructure, but most of it could be repaired. "Will you stay?" one of the engineers asked her. "After everything that happened here?" "This is our home," Nari replied firmly. "We're not letting them drive us away." Taehyun Yoon surveyed the damage to his hydroponic farms. Many of the plants had been destroyed, but the growing systems were intact. He could rebuild. "I'll need new seeds," he told one of the supply officers, "and some help replanting. But we'll feed everyone again." As the human fleet secured the system, Intelligence Officer Min Seok Bai interrogated captured Valeth soldiers. What he learned was disturbing. "They're part of something called the Valeth Empire," he reported to Admiral Sang-woo. "This was just a scouting force. They have larger fleets, more ships." "Then we'll be ready for them," Sang-woo replied. "They started this war. We'll finish it." The liberation of New Busan was complete within 72 hours of the human fleet's arrival. The aliens had expected easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't control. Word of the battle spread quickly through known space. Other alien civilizations took note of humanity's response. Some offered friendship and alliance. Others retreated deeper into their own territories. The message was clear: attacking humans came with a terrible price. And humanity had the will and ability to collect that price, no matter how far they had to travel or how many ships they had to build. The sleeping giant was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Sang-woo Jung was drinking his morning coffee when the priority alert came through. He set down his cup and activated his personal communication system. The message that appeared made his blood run cold. SOS from New Busan Colony, under attack by unknown alien forces, requesting immediate assistance. 50,000 civilians in danger. Sang-woo had served in the Human Defense Fleet for 30 years. He had fought pirates and settled border disputes, but humanity had never faced an alien attack before. This was something completely new and terrifying. He immediately contacted President Yoon Mi-shin on Earth. The secure line connected within seconds. "Madam President, we have a situation," Sang-woo said without preamble. "New Busan Colony is under alien attack." There was silence for a moment. Then Yoon-mi's voice came through, calm but deadly serious. "How many ships do we have available?" "I can mobilize the Third Fleet within 12 hours. 47 warships, do it." "And Sang-woo?" "Get me everything we have. Every ship, every marine, every weapon we can find. If aliens think they can attack our people, they're about to learn otherwise." Across human space, the response was immediate and overwhelming. When news of the attack reached the other colonies, volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Shipyards that had been building cargo vessels and passenger liners suddenly retooled for war production. Captain Ki-hyun Ro commanded the battle cruiser Seoul's Wrath, one of the most powerful ships in the fleet. When he received orders to lead the rescue mission, he didn't hesitate. "All stations prepare for immediate departure," he announced to his crew. "We have people to save." In the engineering bay of Seoul's Wrath, Lieutenant Jisoo Lim worked with her team to modify their weapon systems. The alien ships in the new Busan transmission had showed advanced energy shielding. Human kinetic weapons might work better. "Strip the railguns from the cargo haulers," she told her team. "If we can't punch through their shields with energy weapons, we'll use good old-fashioned projectiles." Dr. Sung-Ho Nam, one of humanity's top weapons designers, received an emergency commission from the government. He had 72 hours to develop new weapons based on the limited data from New Busan. "What do we know about their technology?" he asked his research team. "Energy-based weapons and shields," his assistant replied. "But their hull construction looks different from ours. More organic somehow." "Then we design weapons specifically to counter that," Sung-Ho said. "Work around the clock. Those people are counting on us." On Mars, General Jae-won Park assembled the largest Marine force in human history. 50,000 soldiers, all volunteers who had signed up the moment they heard about New Busan. Among them was Young-ji Oh, a former corporate security officer who had enlisted the day the news broke. She had no military experience, but she had something more important: pure determination to protect human civilians. "Why did you join?" the recruiting sergeant had asked her. "Because someone attacked our people," Young-ji replied. "That's not acceptable." Hanul Kim, a fusion reactor specialist from Europa, joined the engineering corps. His job would be to keep the ships running during what promised to be a very long journey to the edge of human space. "My expertise is in power systems," he told his new commanding officer. "But I'll do whatever you need." Intelligence officer Min Seok-bai worked frantically to analyze every detail of the alien transmission. The attackers had to have weaknesses. Every technology did. "Look at their ship movements," he told his team. "They're not using random attack patterns. There's a logic to it. If we can understand their tactics, we can counter them." Strategist Da-Hyun Lee planned the counterattack. She studied star maps and supply routes, calculating exactly what humanity would need to mount a successful rescue operation. The aliens chose to attack New Busan because it's isolated, she realized. They think we can't respond effectively at that distance. They're wrong. Ship after ship joined the growing fleet. Warships from Earth, fast cruisers from the Centauri colonies, even converted civilian vessels armed with whatever weapons could be found. The cargo ship Promise carried medical supplies and extra ammunition. The passenger liner New Hope had been converted into a troop transport. Every human world contributed what they could. Engineer Jisoo Lim worked 18-hour days retrofitting civilian ships for combat. Cargo haulers became missile platforms. Passenger vessels became assault ships. Every hull that could carry a weapon joined the fleet. "Will this actually work?" one of her assistants asked, looking at their converted cargo hauler. "It has to," Jisoo replied. "Those aliens think they can attack defenseless civilians. Time to show them what happens when those civilians have friends." Dr. Sung-Ho Nam's weapons laboratory produced the first batch of new anti-alien weapons in record time. Kinetic penetrators designed to punch through energy shields. Electromagnetic pulse weapons to disrupt alien electronics. Chemical explosives that would work in any atmosphere. "Test them," Sung-Ho ordered. "I want to know these weapons will work before we send them into battle." The fleet that assembled was unlike anything humanity had ever put together. 200 warships, 500 support vessels, and 50,000 Marines. But more than that, it carried the focused anger of an entire species. Captain Ki-hyun Ro stood on the bridge of Seoul's Wrath, looking out at the massive fleet gathering around his flagship. Ships from dozens of worlds, all united by a single purpose. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving messages from the other fleets. They're all ready to depart." "Then let's go remind those aliens that humanity protects its own," Ki-hyun said. General Jae-won Park addressed his Marines before departure. 50,000 soldiers packed into transport ships, all eager for their first taste of real combat. "We don't know much about these aliens," he told them, "but we know they attacked innocent civilians. They took our people prisoner. That ends now," the Marines cheered. They came from every human world, but they shared the same determination. No one attacked humanity without consequences. Young-ji. Oh checked her equipment one more time. Basic Marine gear, a kinetic rifle, and enough ammunition for a prolonged fight. She had trained for 6 weeks, learning everything the military could teach her about combat. "Scared?" asked the Marine in the bunk next to her. Terrified, Youngji admitted. But those people need help. That's more important than being scared. As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, President Yoonmi Shin made a broadcast that reached every human world. Her words were simple but filled with iron determination. An attack on one human is an attack on all humanity. We will not abandon our people. We will not negotiate with those who threaten innocent civilians. We will respond with everything we have. The broadcast was intercepted by several alien civilizations throughout the galaxy. Most had never heard of humanity before. They took note of the massive fleet mobilization and filed the information away for future reference. Admiral Sang Woo-jung gave the final order from his flagship. All ships jump on my mark. Destination, New Busan System. Operation, rescue our people and show these aliens the price of threatening humanity. One by one, the ships activated their hyperspace drives and disappeared into the void. The largest military force in human history was on its way to war. The aliens at New Busan had expected to face a small, weak species. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their absolute refusal to abandon each other. The sleeping giant had awakened, and it was very, very angry. The alien bombardment shook the entire colony. Haijin Kang's fingers flew over the communication controls as explosions echoed through the corridors. She had to get the message out before it was too late. Minho, I need 30 more seconds, she shouted over the noise. Minho Park stood behind her, watching the main display screen. The alien ships were methodically destroying every defensive position New Busan had. Their weapons were far beyond anything humans had seen before. Upload complete, Hyejin said. Message is away. Just then a massive explosion rocked the communication center. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Sparks flew from damaged equipment. The main transmitter is gone, Hyejin said, checking her systems. But the message got through. Someone will hear it. Do-Hyun Lee's voice crackled over the intercom. All sections report in. We have alien troops landing in sectors 7 through 12. Minho grabbed his communicator. This is Park. All civilians move to the emergency shelters. Security teams fall back to defensive positions. But even as he gave the orders, Minho knew they were in serious trouble. The colony had never been designed as a fortress. It was a place where people lived and worked in peace. In the medical center, Dr. So-young Choi worked frantically to prepare for casualties. She converted her small clinic into a trauma center, setting up extra beds and organizing her limited supplies. The first wounded arrived within minutes. Burns from energy weapons, cuts from flying debris, broken bones from people who had fallen during the explosions. How many more are coming? Her assistant asked. Too many, So-young replied, but she kept working. Every life she could save mattered. Nari Kim ran through the engineering sections, trying to bring the colony's emergency shields online. The main generators had been hit in the first attack, but she might be able to route power from the backup systems. Come on, she muttered, rerouting power cables by hand. The alien energy weapons were incredibly powerful, but maybe the emergency shields could buy them some time. The shields flickered to life, creating a weak energy barrier around the most important parts of the colony. It wouldn't stop the big alien ships, but it might protect them from the smaller fighters. Jin Woo-han helped evacuate the school. Children cried for their parents as he led them to the emergency shelters. Some of the older students tried to be brave, but Jin-woo could see the fear in their eyes. Stay together, he told them. Your parents will find you in the shelters. But even as he said it, Jin-woo wondered if any of them would survive long enough for reunion. Outside, the alien troops were landing. Do-Hyun and his security team had taken positions near the main airlock. They had basic energy rifles and some explosives, but they had never fought a real battle before. Here they come, one of his officers whispered. The airlock door exploded inward. Alien soldiers poured through the opening. They were tall and thin, wearing armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Their weapons were elegant and deadly. Do-Hyun's team opened fire. Their weapons had some effect, but the alien armor absorbed most of the damage. The aliens fired back with precision and overwhelming force. 3 of Do-Hyun's officers fell in the first exchange. The rest fell back to secondary positions, but the aliens followed relentlessly. We can't stop them, Do-Hyun said into his communicator. They're too strong. Too many. Throughout the colony, similar scenes played out. The aliens moved with military precision. capturing key locations and herding civilians into groups. They didn't seem interested in killing everyone. They wanted prisoners. Tae-hyun hid in the hydroponic farms as alien soldiers searched the agricultural sections. He watched them examine the growing plants with something that might have been interest. Maybe they needed food too. One of the aliens found him behind a tomato plant. The creature looked at him with large, dark eyes. It said something in a language Tae-hyun couldn't understand. Then other aliens arrived and dragged him away to join a group of captured colonists. By evening, the battle was over. The aliens had won completely. They herded the surviving colonists into the main assembly hall. Families clutched each other. Children cried quietly. Minho looked around at his people. Many faces were missing. Too many. The alien attack had been swift and brutal. An alien that seemed to be their leader stepped forward. It activated a translation device that spoke in broken human language. "You are prisoners now," the device said. "You will work. You will obey. Resistance brings death." The alien leader, who they would later learn was called Thex Malar, gestured to his soldiers. They began separating the colonists into groups. Adults in one area, children in another. "No," Jinwoo shouted, trying to reach his students. An alien soldier struck him down with the butt of its weapon. "Families stay together," Minho said, stepping forward. "These people have done nothing wrong." Thex Malar looked at him with those dark eyes. The translator spoke again. "You have resources we need. You will extract them for us. Then you will be relocated." "Relocated where?" So-young asked. "Away from here. Away from others of your kind. You will not spread your poison to more worlds." Nari realized what the alien meant. They thought humanity was some kind of threat. They planned to use the colonists as slave labor, then ship them off to prison worlds where they could never contact Earth again. Over the following days, the aliens forced the colonists to resume mining operations. But now they worked under guard with alien overseers who didn't understand human needs or limitations. Do-hyun, nursing a broken arm, organized quiet resistance. Secret meetings, hidden weapons, plans for escape or sabotage. But the aliens were too strong and too watchful. Hyejin wondered if her message had reached Earth. 6 days for the signal to travel through space. Then time for Earth to organize a response, if they even cared about one small colony on the edge of human space. "Do you think anyone heard us?" she asked Minho during one of their work shifts. "I hope so," Minho replied. "But even if they did, help might not come in time." The aliens worked the colonists hard. 12-hour shifts in the mines. Poor food, crowded sleeping quarters. Anyone who complained or resisted was punished severely, but the colonists endured. They took care of each other. They shared what little they had. They refused to let the aliens break their spirit. Jinwoo told stories to the children at night, keeping their hopes alive. So-young treated injuries and illnesses with whatever supplies she could find. Tae-hyun managed to grow small amounts of fresh food in hidden corners, and every day they looked at the stars and wondered if anyone was coming to help them. The aliens believed they had won a quick, easy victory. They had destroyed a weak human colony and captured useful slaves. They had no idea that their attack had just awakened something far more dangerous than a small mining operation. Somewhere in the darkness of space, Hyejin's message was racing toward Earth, a simple SOS that would change everything. The aliens thought they understood humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Minho Park walked through the main corridor of New Busan Colony, checking his daily reports on a small tablet. The morning shift had started an hour ago and everything looked normal. The mining equipment hummed quietly in the distance. Workers moved between the different sections of the colony, going about their usual jobs. New Busan sat on a large asteroid in the Kepler 442 system, far from Earth and the other human worlds. 50,000 people called this place home. They had built their lives here, mining rare metals that the rest of humanity needed for their ships and cities. It was hard work, but it was good work. Nari Kim stood in the engineering bay, watching the massive drilling machines through a thick window. She had designed most of these machines herself. They could cut through solid rock and extract the valuable minerals hidden deep inside the asteroids. The machines never stopped working day or night. "How are the numbers looking today?" Minho asked as he joined her. "Better than yesterday," Nari replied, not taking her eyes off the displays. "The new drill heads are working perfectly. We should hit our monthly quota early." Minho nodded. That was good news. The company back on Earth would be happy. and happy companies meant steady paychecks for everyone on the colony. Across the colony, Do-hyun Lee finished his morning patrol. As head of security, he made sure everything stayed peaceful and safe. Most days, his biggest problems were workers who drank too much or arguments about work schedules. Sometimes there were accidents in the mines, but serious crime was rare on New Busan. His security team was small. 20 officers total, armed with basic weapons. They had never needed anything more powerful. What could threaten them out here? Space was empty and quiet. In the school section, Jin Woo-han prepared for his first class of the day. He taught history and literature to the colony's children. Many of his students had been born here on New Busan. To them, this asteroid was not just a mining operation. It was home. "Good morning, class," Jinwoo said as the children took their seats. "Today we're going to learn about the early days of human space travel." 8-year-old Minji raised her hand. "Teacher Han, why did people leave Earth?" "People have always been explorers," Jinwoo explained. "They wanted to see new places and find new opportunities. Just like your parents came here to New Busan." Dr. So-young Choi checked on her patients in the medical center. Most of her cases were minor injuries from the mining work. Cuts, bruises, broken bones. Nothing her equipment couldn't handle. The colony was healthy and safe. She looked out the window at the stars. Sometimes she missed the green hills of Earth, but New Busan had become her home too. The people here were like family. In the hydroponic farms, Tae-hyun-yoon inspected the growing vegetables. The farms fed the entire colony. Every plant was important. Without fresh food, the colonists would have to rely on expensive shipments from Earth. The tomatoes were growing well. So were the potatoes and soybeans. Tae-hyun smiled. Tonight, families would sit down to fresh salads and warm soup. Simple pleasures, but they made life good. Hyejin Kang sat in the communications center monitoring the quantum relay network. Messages from Earth took 6 days to reach New Busan, even through the fastest communication systems humanity had built. Most of the messages were routine. Supply requests, technical updates, letters from families back home. She was reading a message from her sister on Earth when the alarm started. The first alarm was quiet. Just a soft beeping that meant the long-range sensors had detected something. Hyejin checked her screens. 3 large objects were approaching the system. They were still far away, but they were big. Much bigger than any human ship. Probably just asteroids, she thought. But asteroids didn't move in formation. Minho arrived at the communication center within minutes. Other department heads followed. Nari came running from engineering. Do-hyun brought 2 of his security officers. "What do we have?" Minho asked. 3 contacts, maybe more, Hyejin said, her fingers dancing over the controls. "They're still 12 hours out, but they're definitely artificial. Ships." "Human ships?" Do-hyun asked. Hyejin shook her head. "Wrong shape. Wrong energy signatures. These aren't ours." The room fell quiet. In 20 years of operation, New Busan had never encountered alien life. Earth scientists had found signs of ancient civilizations on distant worlds, but no living aliens. Humanity thought they were alone. Could they be peaceful? Minho asked. "Let's hope so," Nari said, but her voice was worried. Over the next few hours, the alien ships came closer. They were beautiful in a terrible way, sleek and silver, with curves that no human engineer would have designed. They moved through space like fish swimming through water. Hyejin tried to send messages to the approaching ships. "This is New Busan Colony. Please identify yourselves. We welcome peaceful contact." There was no response. Do-hyun gathered his security team and what weapons they had. 20 officers with basic energy rifles. It seemed laughably small compared to the massive ships on the sensors. Jinwoo dismissed his classes early and told the children to go home to their families. So-young prepared the medical center for possible emergencies. Tae-hyun made sure the food storage areas were secure. When the alien ships finally dropped out of hyperspace near the colony, everyone could see them through the windows. They hung in space like silver daggers, beautiful and threatening. Minho stood in the main control room, surrounded by his department heads. "Maybe they just want to talk," he said. Then the first energy beam struck the colony's main shield generator. The lights flickered. Emergency alarms screamed through every corridor. Children cried. Adults ran to emergency stations they had only practiced using. More beams followed. The alien weapons were incredibly powerful. In minutes, they had destroyed the orbital defense platforms that protected New Busan. The platforms had been built to stop asteroids and space debris, not military attacks. "They're not here to talk," Do-yoon said grimly. Through the windows, they could see small alien craft launching from the main ships, fighters and troop transports heading straight for the colony. Minho grabbed Hyejin's arm. "Can you get a message out? To Earth? To anyone?" "I'll try," she said, her hands shaking as she worked the controls. The alien attack continued. Explosions rocked the colony. The careful life that 50,000 people had built was being destroyed in minutes, but Hyejin's message was almost ready. A simple SOS with their location and what was happening, if she could just get it into the quantum relay network before the communications array was destroyed. Outside, the alien ships continued their methodical attack. They had come not to communicate but to conquer, and New Busan, peaceful and defenseless, could only watch as their world burned.